Decision Diaries.
Welcome to Decision Diaries. Today on Decision Diaries, we are going to talk about car buying decisions. And one of the reasons we're going to talk about this particular week is because I made my last car payment on my best car that I've ever owned, my favorite car in my whole entire lifetime.
Favorite, bestest ever car?
My bestest ever favorite car ever, which we're going to go through the journey because it's taken me until 50 plus years to finally find the car that is me personified.
You were 49 when you got that one, to be correct.
Oh, I love how you correct me. Yes, would be Bruce Layfield, who is actively correcting me. It's so great to have another co-host who enjoys correcting me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we are going to start way back, of course, at the age of 16 with that first car. And what's really interesting about the first car buying experience is, it may have been yourself or it may have been your parents buying the car. I was very fortunate that my parents did buy my first car.
Me too.
Yeah. You too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, it was not the car I wanted. Was yours the car you wanted?
Yes.
Wow. Oh, look at you.
Oh, it wasn't a Ferrari, but it was something I wanted. I mean, we went and looked at cars all day long, my dad and I, and then I picked one out, and then it was a Christmas present. I didn't know it was a Christmas present until the Christmas, obviously, but yeah.
Oh, well, you got really lucky. So I don't know. My experience was a little, my experience was a little different in the sense that I was supposed to receive one of my dad's old sales car, like a Cutlass Sierra, like a 4-door Cutlass Sierra. And that was supposed to be my car when I graduated from high school, but he changed jobs. So I thought, ooh, this is a great opportunity. He told me, about the level of car that I was going to be able to get, obviously not a Ferrari. He wanted me to get a very practical college car. And so we went to the Mazda dealership and we were looking at cars within the price range my dad told me we needed to stay within.
Back up the truck. Did you get a brand new car for your first car?
I actually did get a brand new car for my first car.
God. And I had loved you more than they loved me.
Yeah, and I didn't have any car payments. That was pretty awesome. And I watched my dad in some serious negotiations. But let's just talk about this first car and this poor decision that was made on the day with my dad on this lot. So we're on the Mazda lot. We find a red Mazda 323 hatchback. 1988 was the year.
Hot hatch.
Yes. And this car that I would own for, I don't know, all the way till I met you, 25, 26 years old. So I had it from 18. Yeah, I had it for almost 10 years. It was not an automatic.
Oh, got you a 5-speed for your first car.
It was a stick shift, and he had never taught me how to drive a stick shift. So he's buying me a car that I literally don't know how to drive off the lot. But watching my dad negotiate that car, he had a single check. Believe this or not, he could pay with a car with a single check because back then cars were not as expensive as they are today. And my dad didn't believe in car payments. So he was just, this is how much I'm going to write this check for. That's what he said to the guy. And he said, you're going to accept that offer. And the guy was like,
give an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah, it was awesome. That was, I wish I would have had that experience when I bought my car, but that was not it. So that was my little story. My dad had to drive it off the lot. My boyfriend at the time, who knew how to drive a stick shift, was the only one that could actually drive my car until I learned. And it took me a little while. And then I had that car all the way up to when it lost its air conditioning. And then when I met you, when we were dating, the gas gauge wasn't working anymore. You just had to kind of guess how much gas was in the tank.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how long I owned that car.
Yeah.
First car.
I don't think I've owned a car. Well, I have owned a vehicle that long. But my first car was a Chevrolet, 1981 Chevrolet, maybe an 80, Chevrolet Citation X11. The X11 was a sport mode of the Citation, which was a hatchback, but the X11 was sport mode. It had a killer black. It was black. It had this wing, not a wing. It had like a little thing on the back. I don't even know what it's called now. It's like a little wing or a fin on the back. And this was, it was a hot little car, man. It was blacked out windows.
Well, okay.
My dad paid cash for it. It wasn't a lot of money. It was a piece of junk. I wrecked it it was an automatic. I wrecked it about a year into that car. I think I got it my 10th grade year. And then
so why'd you buy that one? Why'd you pick that one? Your first car? Sounds so 80s. Sounds so 80s.
Very 80s. It's very 80s. It was a hot hatch, right? So that was the thing in the 80s. Everybody wanted a hot hatchback. And this was 1986. I'd never seen one of those before. It was a different car. And mind you, for some reason, I am outside the norm on vehicles. I like a lot of European vehicles, a lot of crazy things like that. And I love the Audi Quattro. This car looked a little bit like the Audi Quattro from the rally car. And it had that kind of hot hatch look. And I was like, that's what I want. I want a hot hatch.
For your woofer thing.
No, that was a different car. That was a different car.
Okay, you've had so many cars, so you're going to have to kind of summarize at some point.
Go ahead. Can I go through them?
Oh, good Lord.
Please, let me go through them.
Okay, and then please, this is Decision Diaries, so you must say why you decided on the next car and the next car and the next car.
Blacked out. It was sweet. I mean, it just had this cool look. I mean, I loved it. I was like, oh, this is a cool car. Wrecked it. Kept it for maybe about another year after that. It was running real bad. So then I said, it's time to get another car. I went with another hatch. Went with a Ford Escort GT.
Oh.
An 87. So this was an 89 or so. So it was an 87. It got me back and forth to Daytona. And when I lived here, when I came back from Daytona, I carried that car for about 2 years. It was a dog. I mean, it was a 5-speed, but it was just a dog of a car. It wasn't very good. The reason why I liked it, again, it was another hot hatchback. It was cool. It had a good look to it. I liked it.
So style,
and it looked sporty. It looked racy because I like race cars. I like sporty cars. So that was my thing. But my next one was the jam. My next vehicle was the jam. A 1990 Jeep Wrangler. 5-speed.
Yeah, that one's hot. That's hot. I wish I would have met you when you had the Jeep Wrangler because I did like my boys in Jeeps, and
I love that Jeep.
I definitely can picture you in that Jeep.
Yeah, I had that Jeep
for like
5 years.
Yeah, we can kind of get that romance back. Maybe we should rent a Jeep, just put you in it, and just be kind of hot.
Yes.
Okay, so did you buy that one with your own money?
No, well, I paid for it my own way. This was the first car I had a car payment on. And so it was like $200 a month. I bought that Jeep for $17,000 brand new off the lot. That was the first brand new car I ever bought, and I think the last brand new car I ever bought. And I drove it for 6 years. I was about to graduate from JU, and I was in my senior year, and it was just running real bad, and I was tired of trying to fix it, and I traded it in and got a Chevrolet S10 pickup truck because I wanted a truck. 1990s was all about the cool country music, so I had to have a pickup truck.
Okay. So, so we talk about our cars being so much of our personalities, and to men, to boys, to 16-year-old boys. I remember the boys really picked cars that were things they were into, that reflected who they were. I was in a situation where my dad's like, here's the price range, and pick something out that you think you're going to like. And he also was very concerned about safety, and so he was looking at all the Consumer Report things, and so the Mazda 323 was supposedly pretty safe. I did hey, I didn't wreck it. I never wrecked it. A lot of things happened in that car. You talked about the hatchback and Daytona. We did put the hatchback up when we were going in Daytona Beach during spring break, and people jumped in and out of the hatchback in the middle of traffic with that car. So yeah, it had a few miles on it, and of course, as cars do, they get old, right? So you have to move on. Now, when I was ready to move on and actually make my first purchase, you were part of that, which is
Yes.
amazing,
Yep.
right? Because you did not fear car payments the way that I feared car payments. So when I decided that I finally had a decent job as an adult 20 something and I could afford a car, I went for, you and I have that in common. I went for very European. I wanted that Volkswagen square box look. I also like the Cherokee look, and I always wanted a Jeep. But I went practical, and I went with what was that?
VW Jetta.
It was a Jetta, and the Jetta was really nice that year.
It
And
was a
that car,
boxy one, yeah.
yeah, it was boxy, and that car payment did not scare me the way car payments scare me today. And just I just want to put it out there. Uh, I mentioned I just got done paying my beautiful car, which is my baby now, um, this week. But you and I find ourselves at this age right now that we are the proud owner of 4 cars, and I never thought in my lifetime that I would have 4 cars because we have 2 cars for the boys and
Right.
2 cars for you and I, and that's a lot of car. That's a lot of car decisions. So you took me to the Jetta place. You calmed me down about the payment. We worked through
It
that.
was like 250 a month. It was
It
nothing.
was nothing. I even think it was like under
I think it
200.
was probably under 200.
I did love the black Jetta.
Yeah, that was a good looking
That
car.
was probably my first time I was really proud of myself. Again, picking something practical. That was a really good car.
Yep, it was a good car. And then
And you had your truck.
Then I made the mistake of you had a car, and I was like, I'm trying to move up in the corporate world. I need to be more professional looking. I got rid of the truck, and what did I get? Do you remember?
What did you get?
I got a 1996 Mazda Millennia.
Ah,
Like the luxury type of car. It was when I first got it, drove like a dream. But man, that car was garbage.
yeah. So that was
Straight up garbage.
I think one of the decisions with the Jetta, that car was fairly new. It had a few miles on it, but it was fairly new.
It was brand new. That was the first new car you've ever bought.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, the first decision is, new or used. And I think we got really burned on the used car with the
Yes.
Mazda Millennia.
Yeah.
And we got so burned. I think this is something people need to think about when you're thinking about new or used or trade-ins or trading in and trading up. So you brought your truck in, you got the Mazda Millennia, and then the Mazda Millennia ended up turning out so bad that we had to sacrifice my black Jetta
Yes, we did.
to get out of the Mazda Millennia, and we got
The red Jetta.
the red
The newer
Jetta,
red Jetta, yeah.
which I don't know what was going on, but the quality was not there. The red Jetta was not my favorite, and it was a sacrifice.
It was really red.
It was really
It was
kind
like
of
fire engine red.
yeah, and they had ruined the boxiness. They were trying to round out the Jetta. And then also, I just want to say to anybody, if you're pulling a car off the lot and you think you smell mold from the air conditioning system, turn it back around and start over. I
Get
thought
another
that
one.
we could get through it. I didn't realize that, this was a problem with the quality of this particular brand. So I don't know that we did a lot of our research. We got ourselves into a situation where we had to turn in 2 cars to get out of
Yeah, well,
2 very high car payments and bad cars.
Well, that was when I had a company car. That's when companies were giving away cars. Or not giving them away, but you had company cars. So I had a company car, and I didn't anticipate me leaving the company or being told to leave the company, a year later. But so that's why we did that. We had 2 cars, get one, and the payment wasn't that bad. And when I look back on it, it wasn't that bad.
Oh, we were trying to get rid of the car before major maintenance. That's what.
Right. The Mazda was really bad. The Mazda was that car. The whole front end was falling apart. But come to find out, that's what that Mazda was good for. So I wasn't the only one that had that problem with that car. From what I heard after the fact.
Well, the same with me with my my red Jetta.
Yeah, the front
Yeah,
ends.
once my red Jetta. Now, every time you buy a car, depending on where you are in life, like you just mentioned a second ago, you didn't want to be the truck guy. You wanted to be the corporate guy. And so you wanted your car to reflect your image
Right.
of
So
being the
stupid.
corporate guy. I don't, yeah,
It's a
it is.
dumb, it's
It
a
is.
dumb
It's
thing.
a
Don't go
dumb
down that path.
reason.
Don't
It's a
go down that
dumb
path.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I get it. Sometimes you outgrow the cars, but you really have to think about the car function, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you were in sales, and you were like, I want to pull up in a professional car versus a truck, which is so ironic because we ended up creating sort of a construction company later that you needed a truck, and now you had the wrong car.
Right.
So function is important.
Right.
And your car can get wrapped up in your image, which kind of brings us to, I don't know where we went after that. Oh, I know what happens.
I know what
Life
happened.
changes.
Well, hold on.
Did I
think you
our next
skipped-
car decision?
I think you skipped one because we were driving the Jetta for a minute, and we were driving the Jetta for a minute, and we took Sean home in the Jetta. I remember. No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
Volvo.
We took him
That's
home
right,
in a
we bought
Volvo.
the Volvo.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
here comes another. This one is probably the worst.
1999 Volvo S40.
Okay, yeah. So here is another great example of a poor car decision that we'd like to warn everybody about. So when you're getting ready to have a baby, and I think you were really feeling this, I'm walking around, I'm looking pretty large. We know that a baby is coming, and you pictured me being a mother with a baby in a Volvo. That was some sort of goal for you to put me in this, like, or an SUV or something.
I mean, you wanted that Volvo just as bad because you were like, "This is the type of car."
Well, it was boxy.
It's boxy, and
Okay.
they're
They're safe.
They're safe cars. Volvos are known to be safe.
Yeah, once again,
bad major car. This is before the internet, people, so you couldn't really research everything, and then you couldn't research everything beforehand, and even then, you're gonna miss it. And that car, it was a good car. It looked great. The interior was beautiful. Somebody had smoked in that car.
Yeah.
And it took a while to get rid of that smell.
Yeah, it really does. If you get into a car that you're buying and it smells any bit of mold or smoke, I say run away, because we took it to specialists to get it, to get the smoke out of it. The other thing is, when you're buying a car that has sort of a luxury brand associated with it, just know that they think that you have a special pile of cash to support that car. So the first time I took it in for an oil change, it was one of those things that I was like, oh, wait, I can't just get an oil change for $30. No, it's a Volvo. That oil change is going to be $150.
I think every visit to that particular dealership was minimum $200 every time.
But that is part of, you're paying for the luxury, and
Right.
then you get the luxury maintenance, and you want this car to last longer because it is a luxury light car. It had leather interior and all of that type of stuff. And so you want to bring it to the dealership for maintenance. So if you are thinking about buying a luxury car, just know that you need to put a little pile of luxury maintenance money over to the side.
Absolutely.
Or you need to look at your finances and say, okay, we're going to get this nice car, and this car is going to be part of, we can afford for those luxury maintenance costs. Look them up. Now you can look them up. Isn't that nice? You can look them up ahead of time, or maybe ask the dealership to give you a list of maintenance costs for your little luxury car. So all of my friends, at the time, Suburbans were really common. And so everybody was putting their little itty bitty babies into these humongous gas guzzling Suburban machines. And, I didn't mind that I had a Volvo, and I wasn't going to upgrade to the Suburbans, and I wasn't going to upgrade to the minivans. But life goes on.
my next purchase, though, we got rid of the Jetta. Yes. And that's when I bought the F-150. That's when I bought my.
You went back to your trucks.
I went back to a 2000 F-150, and I had that truck 15 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I I love that truck. That truck was awesome.
Well, I think, some of the things we've learned is a little bit of brand loyalty, especially from the truck perspective, that F-150 was really, you know, really a good truck. We had it for a really, really long
Right.
time for us.
Right.
And so the Volvo had to go.
Yeah, the
We
Volvo
knew
was
Volvo had to go because our income was lower because I was staying at home with the children, and the maintenance cost on it was way too much. And at some point, when you have a luxury car like that, you have to decide it's time to turn it in. I don't want to have to tow it in.
right.
I'd like to drive it in and, try to make it look spiffy so that somebody will give me some extra money
And
for it.
that car had a little bit of maintenance issues with if I recall, the throttle body or something was wrong in it. So it was time for that car to go, and it just felt dangerous. You almost got in a wreck in that car, really bad wreck. So I was like, that car has got to go because you couldn't get out of the way of traffic for some reason. And so yeah, we took that car and we researched. This is internet time now, so we researched our brains off
Oh, yeah,
to
we made the
find the.
right choice
We
because
made the
we
right
were
choice to
so
find.
upset that we had made the wrong decision on the Volvo. We thought we were getting a good deal. It was a bad year, like a bad wine year.
Yeah,
You couldn't find a Volvo during that time period. Everybody was complaining about them. So we weren't the only ones. I think there was even a couple of like little recalls on it that I had to bring it to the manufacturer. That's how bad this Volvo was. Quality was just going down the tube. So we escaped Volvo and we returned back to where it all started.
you went to the Mazda.
I went back to Mazda. But the other thing was, what is happening now in our lives, right? Our friends, all the friends that had the Suburbans now and are upgrading to the Honda Odyssey minivan.
All minivans.
Oh, the minivans with the automatic doors and 3 rows of seats. This is the direction and this is where we are in our lifestyle.
Right.
That, this is who these are the people I'm running with every day, where it's like, how many kids can we fit inside this minivan? So as we're researching this Mazda, we actually find what we call the anti minivan, the non-hot Honda Odyssey. I got a cheap. I refuse to call it a minivan. I just called it an extended hatchback. But this thing did have the sliding doors. But what was always embarrassing when I pulled up to pick up the kids in the car line is I would have to tell the teachers over and over again, it's not an automatic door. You need to
You
grab
slide
the
yourself,
handle
yeah.
and you have to manually slide it out because I've got the Mazda, the Mazda
It was a Mazda 5.
Mazda 5
Minivan.
and basically the back hatchback part of it, minivan, the back, it had a row of seats, but then there was no place to put your luggage. So literally when you had kids sitting in the third row, they were in the trunk.
Yeah, it was death row is what I called
We
that.
called it death row.
Back
We
seat was
were
death
like,
row.
if we get hit from behind, there's really nothing there. There's no luggage or anything to protect the children that are sitting in the back row. And then at that point, we would have to put our luggage kind of down the center
Yeah.
or in front of people's legs if we wanted, to fill up the car completely. So this Mazda this Mazda stayed with us and went on many, many journeys with the kids and lots of other people's kids.
Yeah.
Um, so much so that we ran that car into the ground.
Yeah, it was done when we traded it in.
It was so done that when you would brake, the front would pretty much drop down to the ground. We were waiting for the wheels to go out. Kind of like, what was that cartoon character where the wheels went out?
Speed buggy?
Speed buggy. Yeah, when he'd get tired, the wheels would just drop out and his little tongue would come out. Well, that's what was happening with our Mazda 5. And, and our kids were past that moment where we absolutely needed like a little minivan. But my friends continued on. They upgraded their Honda Odysseys. Some people even went, to try to save gas. We're doing the whole Prius thing. So that's where people were going.
Yeah, and that car did pretty good. I mean, it had some other issues, but for the most part, we never had a mechanical issue with that car.
No,
We
no,
had
and you know what's
like
also
tire issues
interesting is
and that kind of stuff, but
we
nothing
hadn't
big.
really talked about it, but up to this point, um, we never were really concerned about gas mileage. I think, how often you use a car, all the places that you drive it, whether you drive it for work like you do now. Um, we never had the, does this get good gas mileage kind of conversations. Like I mentioned, some of our friends did have the gas mileage conversation and went to a Prius, but we weren't all that concerned.
No, we weren't concerned about gas mileage.
Yeah.
It
We
wasn't
it was
something on
more
our.
it was more car
It
payment.
was car payment. That was the biggest thing, right? Because we didn't drive a lot then, but you know, and after that car, you decided to. And when we traded that car in, we decided to go with car. I mean, we went Toyota.
Oh, so
The
let's
first
talk about
Toyota, the
this.
first Toyota we ever bought, and that Toyota, that was a good. I mean, it was a good car. It was a Camry. It was a 2013 Camry. The only issue with that car, it was a ex rental car, and
Which was great.
well, it was maintained very well. But it was just a car. It had no personality. Like the Mazda had like
I
a
wanna talk
sporty.
about that.
Oh, I know you're about to. The Mazda had personality. The both Volkswagens you had personality. Even the Volvo with the big, um, the little dent on the back of it had a cool personality to it. This car had none.
Yeah, yeah, and so already we've talked about tend to stay in either red or black, and then with your trucks, they were either white or black, right?
Well, I had a black one and two
And
white ones, and now a silver one. Yeah,
yeah, black, white, or silver.
yeah.
Right.
Very, very, very.
No, but I mean, cool colored cars were coming out. A lot of people were doing tan in the whole
Right.
suburban thing, so there was a lot of tan out there. But when we turned in the Mazda 5 and we realized, the car that we're about to select is the car that our first child will be learning to drive on. And
Boy, did
so,
he.
well, yeah, don't give it away. Yeah, so so again, we're at this very practical stage of our lives of the car that we're going to buy is probably going to be the car that our first child will take with them off to college. So it was for me sort of temporary, like, oh, I'm going to drive this car for a couple of years and then, teach my son how to drive this car. He's going to drive it through high school and then take it away to college. And I will finally get my supercar, my me car, my whatever car all about me and not have to worry about children at all. That was the thought. Now, first of all, Hertz buying a car from a rental car company, that ended up being phenomenal financially.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. Even the
Yeah.
car, we drove it off the lot. Like I've never had a car where I drive it off the lot and I have equity in the car. That was weird.
Yeah, it was weird to get equity and for anyone that can do that, kudos to you. I mean, if
Right?
you can get some equity out of the car, but when we went to, when we went to finance it, they told us we had equity and we were shocked. But this car was, let me describe it. It it looks like a box of rice that says rice on it. It is the most generic thing. When I think of the word car, when you're picturing car right now and you think of the most boring thing a car can be, it's silver. It's got 4 doors. I can't even tell you what the lights on the front look like, with cars, sometimes the personalities all in the lights. You know when a BMW is heading towards you. You know when certain cars are coming towards you. You know when a truck's coming to you because, you've got that height. This, I swear, I can tell you, and from experience, that you ended up hitting a dog because even the dog didn't see this boring car coming. Like nobody could see this car coming
It was
because I would lose it in the parking lot in a sea of nondescript other silver Toyota Camrys and just other silver cars. Like I don't know what was happening that year, but all the cars were the most boring cars I've ever seen in my life. And I was driving one. It was a bad omen that, the dog was okay, but that a dog ran out in front of the car and you kind of somewhat hit it.
Somewhat.
Somewhat,
Car, that's,
yeah, but the dog was okay.
yeah,
The
he was
dog was
fine.
okay, but I knew then I don't think I like this car. And I keep losing the car. I go in the grocery store, I come out, I can never find my car. I'm just running around the parking lot. But it gets worse because now my son is eligible to drive.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
So he's eligible to drive the most nondescript car that's already hit a dog. And future omen, we get that call that nobody wants to get.
Ooh.
Oh, the call of
I know right where it was at.
it's totaled.
Yep. I
It's
get the call
totaled.
from a weird cell phone. Sean calls us and says, I got in a wreck. The car's totaled, Dad.
The
And I was
car's
like,
totaled.
and I was like, oh God.
And of course, the first thing we were concerned about is anybody hurt.
Right.
And, irony of all ironies, the funny part is he was on a first date. And luckily she did not get hurt as well, but she did get a couple of bruises, which is never a good sign of a first date.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
It didn't work out. So the car is basically around a pole. And all the airbags are deployed. I mean, full screen. So go Toyota for that whole safety.
That car was super safe. Yeah, that car was unbelievably safe.
But that car led me to, oh, hell no. The next car, it's my turn. It's my car. And that is the car that if I could be buried in a car, like if you could lower me in a car, I would be lowered in this car. And the car that I bought is
Why did you buy this car?
Well, I wanted a convertible, and
Right.
I was like, after I got over that our son was okay, and that was just such a shock to me. And after I got over that our son was okay, I was like, life is too short for me to be driving something boring, and it's time for me to buy what I want. And we drove a couple of convertibles. Now, if you're thinking about getting a convertible, I think there's a couple of decisions with that. First of all, I imagined me in a convertible having fun. I mean, convertibles are supposed to be fun. You're supposed to put the top down and you're supposed to not care if your hair's messy and you need a baseball cap. You always need, a hairband. And you imagine it being really fun. But when we went on that first test drive of a convertible and we drove it off the test lot, as we were driving it, I was like, oh my God, this car is boring.
Yeah, it was pretty boring.
It was pretty boring. It was the worst designed convertible. It's almost like they didn't want the air in your hair, and they didn't want sort of that thrill of being out in the open driving a convertible car. It's like they completely missed the point in their design.
Didn't it have a lot of buttons or something?
And the dashboard had so many buttons. It's like the dashboard, I've seen horrible software design and now I've seen horrible automobile design. So much so that when we were driving it, my husband, you were saying, well, maybe this would be more fun if we turn the radio on for her, because I was not enjoying the test drive. And he said, well, let's turn the radio. You couldn't figure out which button turned on the radio.
Damn, that thing. It had like a whole console of buttons up top.
And either could the sales guy. Yeah, the sales guy was behind us and he was like, I think it's the left one. No, I think it's the right one. No, I think it's the one in the middle. And I was like,
and that maybe is not even a joke, y'all. That is
yeah, maybe I
really
don't want a convertible. I was like, maybe I built this convertible thing up all my life to be like the super thing, and maybe I don't want it. But you said we're not giving up. We're going to go to one more place. Same day. Same
night. Yeah. And you kept saying this one car, and I'm like, I do not want to get you one of these cars. It's a clown car. Why would I get you a clown car?
Yeah.
Go ahead, tell them.
Yeah. We drove up to the Mini Cooper place.
Yep.
And I just want to say everything about the Mini Cooper place is everything that I love. Now, you can do so many things.
There is a lot
with a Mini Cooper.
You can do with a Cooper. Yeah.
There's so many customizations. There's so many colors. And when we walked up, I mean, there was blue, there was red, there were retro colors. They had, one had like a little English flag on it. Somebody else had that little checkerboard, like looked like if vans were a car, they had like that checkerboard pattern of the vans, but everything about it said fun.
Yeah.
And everything about it said colorful, fun. And I was like, I said, if we take this for a test drive and it is what I think it is, then I have found my home. And when we went for the test drive, no radio on.
So against this car.
Oh,
I
it
had
was so
no
wonderful.
plan. I was like,
so wonderful.
I do not want a Cooper. No way. We're not buying a Cooper. We're not buying a Cooper. We drove the Cooper. Then what happened?
Oh, I fell in love with it.
Yes, you did.
I absolutely fell in love with it.
Actually, it's like a little.
It
a
drove.
little car, and
it drove incredible. It does. It grips the road, and then the convertible goes back, automatically.
No,
and so
you have to push the button.
You push a button, but it goes back so smoothly and tucks there, and everything has its place. And the dashboard. So it is so colorful that you can actually set the colors on the dashboard. I could set the colors to rotate on the dashboard.
Her car's got mood lighting.
It does have mood lighting. It was so fun. And then what I really enjoyed was when I went through the car line with, what is basically the size of a go-kart next to all the Suburbans and all the minivans. And I'm in car line with my top down, with my music up, and my two little boys got in the back seat of my Mini Cooper because they could fit. They could fit.
It's not an easy fit.
It's not an easy fit. You're not going to fit like, a car seat. I think fitting a car seat would be a super big stretch, but with this, and the kids are older now, they could just jump in like the Flintstones. That's what we're doing, like the Flintstones. So I love this car so much. But what's great about Mini Coopers is at one point I almost settled because there was a car in the lot that was a very good price. I almost settled on a silver and black. And what I really love is you talked me out of that. You said, do not just decide on that because of its price and because it's there. You like the colors, and your favorite color is blue, and we're going to find you a blue car. And I've never owned a blue car.
That's what we did. And the whole thing was, I didn't want you to have to settle because I know you settled for the Camry. You're like, it's just a car. We're just going to buy a car. I'm like,
and you had a nice truck.
And that was before I had the nice one.
But, yeah.
But yeah, it was what it was. And I was like, okay, we're going to get you a nice car. We're going to find you the right car for you, the one that fits your personality. And I was like, if you want a blue one, dadgummit, we're going to find a blue one.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people thought I was having a midlife crisis because it was kind of like, well, she's in car line with a convertible. Like, what's next? Boobs?
Well, you worked your ass off.
Yeah,
you worked your butt off, and I'm like,
I was back at work.
You're back at work. You deserve to get whatever you wanted. You made money. Let's get what you want. And our bills weren't totally outrageous. We had both of our kids were about to be out of Catholic school, and it was going to be okay. We were going to survive.
Yeah, I think that was the other thing too, is you kind of calmed me down about the car payment, which, by the way, I no longer have for this car. So the other thing with the Mini Coopers, I can't say more enough about the Mini Coopers. I'm going to join a Facebook group for the Mini Coopers, but you can add stripes to them. And this being a blue car, and the fact that I do love Shelby Cobras. I'd buy if I had money, I'd buy a Shelby, an old school Shelby convertible. Yeah. So I had the white stripes, like the little Shelby, put on this Mini Cooper because blue's a lot, people. Okay. So
it's a lot of blue.
I will say, we talked about, decisions of things, and decision of the car color is really important. But when you decide to go with a lively color, if you put blue on a truck, that's a lot of blue. And even blue on the Mini Cooper was a lot of blue, Yeah. Yeah. Breaking it up with the white stripes, I think, made all the difference there.
Yeah, it did. And then, by that time I was about to buy my next truck, the big F-150, because my poor old F-150 I had from 2000. This was, I think it was 2017-ish. Actually 2015. And So I did have that truck when you got it, and I got that big V8 monster.
You went with all the bells and whistles.
Well, I had all the bells and whistles on it, and the
you want
thing.
to talk about that?
Well, yeah, I mean,
too many bells and whistles is not a good thing.
Hold on, it can be a good thing if they're new. Like if you buy a used car, you get somebody else's problem sometimes. I don't mind buying a used car, but you don't want to buy one that's like 7, 8 years old. And the reason why I say that is sometimes there are things you don't see until you're driving the vehicle about 3 or 4 months down the road. And I'm driving down the road. Now I had a 2009 XLT Lariat F-150 four-door. It had all the bells and whistles, the cooled seats, which I highly recommend the cooled seats. If
it is Florida.
Cooled
yeah,
seats.
Yeah, mine has heated seats. Makes no sense.
Yeah, well, cooled seats are long. Anyway, this truck had these drop down steps, like when you open the door. And I was driving down the road and I heard blam. The heck did I just hit? I'm looking around, driving down the freeway doing 80 miles an hour. I'm like, I didn't hit anything. And it did it again. And that's when I realized the step kept dropping down. It would go up and go down. It would go up and go down randomly. Like it did not, I couldn't figure out where the short was. So I was going to replace it, but I'd gotten a sales job where I started driving a lot. I mean, I was doing from 20,000 miles a year to 40 to 50,000 miles a year. And that's a lot of driving. That's a lot of gas. And that big old truck sucked it down. So I didn't take a beating on that truck. I broke even on that truck. But I bought the one I have now. I've had for 5.5 years, and it's a 2019 F-150 twin turbo V4 motor.
Wow, now you're getting 20, really detailed. I mean, I was keeping it at the car decision.
But I went from 12 miles a gallon to 24 miles a gallon.
And that makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and that's when gas became important to us,
because gas prices were $3.20 a gallon, and it went all the way up to $5 a gallon. And it's like I could not afford to drive my other truck, and I had to drive to go make calls. So the truck I have now is not a 4-wheel drive. It's the equivalent of her Camry. It's truck, but I love my truck. It's I like Ford pickup trucks. That's kind of my jam.
Well, a truck is very functional, and my car is fun, and your car is functional. That's where we are right now in our life. My car is fun. And when I have my sunglasses on and a hat on, some people think I'm younger than I am. And I like that. And, I love it when there was another convertible parked next to me. One time I pulled up because I think Mini Cooper people wave to other Mini Cooper people.
Like the Jeep people?
The Jeep people wave to the Jeep people, and convertible people wave to all other convertible people. And I was at a stoplight with a guy in a convertible Maserati on a beautiful day. And I looked over at the guy like, you bought a convertible Maserati. Put the top down. And before it was over, before we left the stoplight, he put the top down. And I was like, that's more like it, convertible person. Like if you're a convertible, use it. Right. Use it all the time. So and I have to remind myself of that sometimes. You gotta let the hair flow, and just anybody who gets in my car, I've got bands for them and all that. Now we do need to talk about as parents
hold on
who buy things for our cars. Okay, you got one more? Okay, well go ahead. What other car decision?
I was going to ask you a couple questions
about my car decision. We know
car decisions you would make going forward.
Going forward,
yeah. Say
Mini Coopers.
Really?
Mini Cooper for life. Really? For the rest of my life.
Money wasn't an issue.
Oh, if money was an issue?
You get 2 cars. You get a vintage and you get a new.
Well, I'd do a Shelby.
Okay. Vintage Shelby.
Okay. And then I get a new Mini Cooper.
Really?
I would totally get a new Mini Cooper. Why would I leave Mini Cooper?
I'm thinking my next vehicle is going to surprise you.
What are your 2?
So my vintage would be a Land Cruiser or a Land Rover.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
My vintage would be a Defender, like a 1965, the little round headlights. awesome. That would definitely be something. But I think I'm looking SUV on my next one.
An SUV?
Yeah, man. I'm digging.
No, you're talking about
No, I'm talking SUV. Like a Toyota made the new Land Cruiser, the new one that just came out. For some reason, man, that thing's scratching an itch. I don't know why. I mean, I'd love to have another F-150 Lariat, but that Toyota doesn't look bad at all. But I enjoy having a truck. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to another car payment. So
if gonna get a car payment,
so if we're
chill out, killer.
Yeah, if we win the lottery, yes, I would go.
Money was an issue,
right? I would go very vintage convertible, but then I would still have a Mini Cooper, but my Mini Cooper would, have the, and I'm probably still gonna get this even if we don't win the lottery. Is I do want a light blue Mini Cooper with kind of like who's that Italian soccer team flag?
You mean the Italian soccer team?
The Italian soccer team flag.
Yeah, that would be it. Yeah.
The Italian soccer team stripes on my car. So anyway,
very blue with the red, green, and white.
Yeah, the red, green, and white in the front to break up the sort of nostalgic light blue or muted blue. I don't know what you call that thing. Okay, so all right, let's get to the kids' cars. Now, lucky for everybody on this podcast, we don't have a lot of kids, and we're gonna get through this pretty quick.
Easy with those two.
Yeah, when it comes to buying cars for your children, when you have two kids, you make mistakes with the first one, and then you correct for the second one.
Yes,
right?
we did.
So we now know that child number one knows how to total a car.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we thought, why get a new car with car payments if he's just going to total it? So we ended up picking the worst car.
That was the worst car I've ever seen.
That we paid with cash, thinking, okay, well, he'll just use that for a little while. And then maybe, when he goes to college, we'll get him something else. That car didn't even make it the length of time we wanted it to last. I spent
more money on that car than any car I've ever owned.
And that is one where, we barely could make it to the dealership. So lesson learned is that, buying a used car with cash from another person.
Volkswagen Jetta black, like your car?
Like my car. I think we had some nostalgic there.
Not quite like yours, but it was in the 2000 range, and it just was garbage. It just turned out to be garbage.
Yeah, I mean, do your due diligence again on which cars if you're going to buy a used car for your child. But I do think a good idea, this is a good decision, that if you're planning to send your child off to college with a car, if that's part of your family's plan, is that you want your child to graduate from college without a car payment as they start their adult life, which I think was a goal for us, is because that's what my dad did for me. Right. So I wanted our kids to, start their adult life without having this burden of a car payment. I mean, I knew people in high school who worked at Publix 5 days a week just to cover their car payment. Some of the guys were buying like BMWs in the 1980s when they really had no business buying BMWs at 16 years old. But it's, it is what it is. But so we ended up going practical. And we bought what was the first car?
The car we bought Sean, and then we eventually bought Corey the same type of car, was a Toyota Scion XC, I think. It was basically a Toyota Corolla, but had a cooler little front end on it. Hot hatchback. Sean's was bright red. Or not bright red. It was more like a lava red. It was darker.
Yeah, it's a lava red. It wasn't that obnoxious, like bright apple red. Right. It was kind of a muted red.
Yeah, it looked really good.
Burgundy.
Got a good deal on it. The car payments were nothing, and they still are nothing.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
We're almost there. And the strategy that we went with, because we have two boys and they're about 2.5 years apart, that when it came time to buying a car for our second child, we took sort of the Southwest Airlines approach of why look for a different type of car? Why not have our boys have almost the exact same cars, but in
Right.
different colors, so that if one car broke down, we could use the parts from that car and put it on the other car, or at least we would know how do we fix that type of car?
Right. And
How
we
much
got
are those oil changes? How much, what mileage do those cars break down? We would have that knowledge. And I thought that's a great strategy.
it was
If
a
you
good
have more
strategy.
than
Yeah.
one child, I think buying the same type of car, after you find out that car was doing pretty good, buying it for the second child just makes sense.
Yeah, it was a pretty good deal, and the car was nice and bright blue, very blue. But
The other thing, I'm sorry. I,
it's a Toyota. I mean, they're bulletproof. So
yeah, and we know that they will those airbags will deploy
right.
because we've seen them deploy. So, of course, 16-year-olds and two 16-year-old boys, we were thinking about safety. And, that's another one of those things that when you put your teenagers and your children in a car and they drive off for the first time, I mean, if you're not a religious person, I mean, I don't know how you get through it, because I said my prayers every single day. I even snuck like a little prayer card inside their glove compartment so
Right.
they would be covered, because I was so nervous. I mean, of course, after our son had just totaled one of our cars, when he drove out the next time, I mean, that anxiety was real. So if safety is important, know that Toyota's airbags totally deploy in a sheet
Most
of,
cars do now. I
well,
mean,
most cars do, but I mean, we've seen it firsthand,
right.
that they are safe cars. So now here's the other great thing is when you buy new cars for your children, that, car payments, and if you take that 4-year car payment strategy, you can use it as collateral to control their behavior when they're in college. So now that they are both out of the house, if they do anything really stupid, um, they get their car payments. And so it is our little leverage of, don't do anything stupid. Don't make any stupid decisions. Otherwise, you will get your car payments back. How about that?
You mean he can't have an anchor tattooed on his leg?
Yeah, yeah. If you can get a tattoo, you can pay for your car payment, because the nicer tattoos are like $500. So if you're gonna
What is
get
car
a
payment?
if you're gonna get a tattoo, then you owe us 2 car payments. So that's the way we roll. That's the way our family rolls. Not for everybody. So, but we got color, we covered safety, and emotional car decisions. A car is a reflection of yourself. After buying the boring car, I do want to say it's very tough to pay your car payment every month if you don't love your car.
I agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's tough.
I mean, I was almost, I was thankful that he was alive, but I was like, that's it. I will never go back to a boring car again. I know we got equity out of that car. Our child ended up being safe in that situation. The dog ended up being safe in the situation, but if you don't love it, yeah, I don't know. Now you have to be responsible and know what your budget is.
Yeah.
And I think with the Volvo, we did not think long term about not just the budget of what the car payments were, because we got a really good deal on the Volvo, because there was smoking, because it was actually it was a
bank repo.
yeah, it was a repo. But we did not do our due diligence on maintenance, and we didn't do our due diligence on, is Volvo, or is the car company, or did that particular model have any quality issues? We were so thankful we found it, and we
Right.
had, we thought of the idea of, me as a mom driving around in a Volvo was like pretty cool.
It was cool.
It was more of an image thing that I don't know,
Yeah, I
and it
know.
really
Things
didn't
got
work out. It was
yeah,
kinda stupid, yeah.
things.
That was really dumb. That was a really dumb
What was
decision
your
on our
favorite car?
part.
Yeah, I guess your favorite car is your Cooper still.
I mean,
Has to be, right?
well, okay, so I will tell you how fabulous my car is. First of all, when you see me in my car, I'm just smiling. I enjoy it. I love it. When the top is down on my car and I'm driving, I do get people that look over. I think people like the white stripe on the front and that it looks like a poor man's Shelby, but I have more people come up to me in parking lots and they will say, My wife is thinking about getting a Mini Cooper. What would you say? I said, go get it. They say, what other colors does it come in? I'm like, colors are infinite. Pinstripes, things you can do to the doors, things that you can do to even the mirrors, all the little attachments you can put on it. I mean, they really should make little toys where I could design my Mini Cooper.
Your
like
next Mini Cooper you're going to
my
design.
next
I love this.
Mini Cooper, I should be able to go to the dealership and like try on little attachments and be like, yeah, I want this one, and just roll it across.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I don't know why Mini Cooper doesn't do that. Make little Lego pieces I could just attach onto it. But I have more people come up to me. And then what's even better, this is when I know I'm in the cool club. Not only the fact that all Mini Cooper people wave to each other, which, being a part of a community, I've said over and over again, feels great. But when I go through Chick-fil-A and all of those high school students are taking my order at Chick-fil-A, they are like, I love your car. And you know what I'm saying? Now, you wanted me in a convertible Mercedes. Yeah. And that to me is just
that wasn't the
super cliche. I would have probably gone really mute. I probably would have gotten a silver Mercedes or a black Mercedes. And, I would have looked like every other 50-year-old woman with a black Mercedes.
But that Mercedes was not the bad car. The bad car was a Buick something.
I know. I didn't drive a Mercedes because I didn't. Yeah.
You thought it was too pretentious.
I did think it was. I didn't think it was me. You can't be me and drive a Mercedes. Plus, Volvo flashback. I can only imagine how much the Mercedes, Okay, dog. I can only imagine how much the Mercedes maintenance is.
Right. Yeah. So we made the right decision.
We made the right decision. So that is mine. I love my car.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd ever thought that I would say that. I didn't think I'd be so obsessed with car decisions, but it changes your life. I didn't know that a car could be a lifestyle and a car could be a decision. It does say a lot about your lifestyle. I mean, how would we get our mountain bikes around if we didn't have your truck? And so we have both the smallest car. My car looks like it could drive up into the bed of your truck. And then we have the large truck. So in case of a hurricane, I would like to drive my car up into the bed of the truck so that we could escape a hurricane.
Sorry, I'm going to leave it here.
I know you're going to leave it here.
Hurricane to take it.
I know you would leave it here for the hurricane to take it, and we would drive off in your truck. But it is what it is. And you are probably most likely going to get a longer bed truck. You want to tell everybody what you just discovered?
No.
No?
Nope. I'm keeping it to myself.
Why would you do that?
Well, I think you get a tax break if you get a long wheelbase pickup truck, but I don't
think everybody knows that.
I don't know what people know, but
hey, deciding on a car for tax reasons is a pretty good reason.
Yeah, that's a pretty good reason too. I mean, especially if you drive your vehicle for work, and I drive. I drive a lot, so. But I don't know. My truck still runs really good. It's got only 100.
No, I didn't say you're getting a new one. I just said, I just said,
come on.
I just wanted you to tell everybody about the tax write-off.
Brought that up. And now you just walk away from it.
No. The only thing you're gonna get maybe is a Jeep or something, because that's just a Jeep is hot. A Jeep is hot.
I'm not getting another Jeep. I've already had a Jeep.
What's the other one?
I wanted the Land Rover Defender.
The Land Rover Defender. That'd be cute.
But
too.
That's I got some goals for myself, personal goals for myself, and when I attain those goals, that's when
Well, we are so close to the boys' cars also being paid off.
Woo-hoo.
We may or may not tell them. And you know what? We may or may not tell them because we like that the car payment sort of keeps them in line. And, they may or may not listen to this podcast. So if they don't listen to the podcast, they just don't know.
Tough shit.
Yeah, they don't know at all. Well, I think we should wrap it up. So wait, hold on.
What?
Real quick, let's run through the lessons. Lessons learned. Don't buy a luxury vehicle if you can't afford luxury maintenance.
That's a big one. Yeah, that's a big one. Some that if you need a truck, get a truck and make sure. You can use that truck. I love mine. I don't think I'll never not have a truck in my lifestyle. Although that new SUV looks awesome.
Yeah. Well, and if you buy an old truck that has all the bells and whistles and the step
Again,
moves,
luxury, right?
luxury, make sure all those electronics are working and you've got those all checked out. The only other thing is, gas is a thing. Mini Cooper does have a green function that, but I will tell you sometimes from a gas perspective, I forget where my gas tank is because I do not
That's
fill it up very
ridiculous.
often. And I will go
Wait,
pull
wait, wait,
into the
wait,
gas
wait. Hold
station.
on. That's a whole nother thing. You never fill your tank up.
I'm a,
I'm the one that gets roped into that shit.
Yeah, I love it when you get in and you put the top down and then you realize I'm almost on empty for
Yeah.
the
And then
first
I got to
time
put
in
gas
ever.
in it.
And you
Yeah.
get to put gas in it. And then you have to ask me which side the gas tank's on, and I forgot. So it saves on gas. Look at me. I am eco-friendly. Your gas mileage on your truck is pretty darn good.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Compared to your previous trucks. Okay. So those are the ends of lessons. Lifestyle. You should love what you pay for, because you will be paying for it for some time. And if you can keep your car alive after the car payments are over, like I plan to do, you will love your car that much more because it's not costing you a car payment. And so I love my car. I'm gonna join a Mini Cooper Facebook group. I want to be around more people like me that like Mini Coopers.
Okay. Do it. Go for it.
That's how much I love my car, is that I want to be around other people who have made the same decision as me. Are you going to join like a truck car group?
No. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
have.
see you
I'm
doing that.
already in enough stupid Facebook groups as it is. I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, honey, thank you again for always being my co-host when some of my guests need to reschedule.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate anybody who is listening right now. Hopefully our car discussion has been useful for you as you're thinking about, where are you right now? What car uh, is an example of your personality? And if you are thinking about a Mini Cooper, I will see you on the Facebook group. And I will post a picture, of course, of my car because I love it so much. And up on decisiondiaries.com, if you have a decision that is something that you've learned lessons from, stories, nostalgic, that you want to share with people, please go up to decisiondiaries.com. Quick little form. You just tell us what decision you want to talk about. Remember, Decision Diaries is not just me talking about my decision, but it can be your decision diary too, your legacy.
My legacy. Let's go.
Let's go. So thank you again. And please subscribe to our podcast.
Drive safely.
Drive safely.
Decision Diaries.